Welcome to JayTime. Today we have a special guest, Jon Cain, Coach Jon Cain, my former coach, here today to give us his journey, his career story. Thanks, Jon, for joining us today.
Jason, it's always good to talk to a former Falcon, but once a Falcon, always a Falcon. So I'm proud to be with you.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks. Can you just kind of give the audience, people that may not know you, kind of your upbringing? Was sports always your passion? Did you want to get into coaching? And then kind of lead into your college degree and kind of what those steps look like for you?
Yeah. Well, it's a tangled web, just so you know. The one thing that is unique to life is that we all have a different story. We all have a different path. No two paths are the same. No two people are the same. But I really believe that our steps are ordered. I believe that God oversees things in our lives. And my prayer is that all of us come to realize that. And when it comes to careers and our journeys, we just have to be faithful people. So my story, is a story of passion for sports that really started maybe out of a tough background. My family life was not the best growing up. Actually, I was the son of a pastor, but my father divorced my mom and left our family at a time when I was in the development stages of being a kid. And I was a little bit of an oddball in my family. I was a sports nut. I could play any sport. I could watch any sport. I didn't know it at the time, but I believe that was God setting me up for some things later on in life. He put in me a passion for sports that no matter how much I drifted away, it was always there. So I'd love to tell you my goal was always to be a coach. At some point it did really become a strong goal. And specifically to coach at the college level. But that took some time for me to figure out. But I always had a passion for sports, and mostly because that was my outlet. That was my emotional outlet. That's how I dealt with all the difficulties in life. I had access to the church gym where my dad was the pastor. And like a lot of young people, I did my best thinking, shooting free throws. Working on my Kareem Abdul-Jabbar skyhook,
Got to.
It's where you really sort a lot of things out, and that always stuck with me, and that kind of guided me through making a career out of coaching, but also in life too. So I learned a lot through those times, and that's what shaped me. So I also had some influences in my life, especially from coaches. When I didn't really have a father figure, I had several coaches that really left imprint with me, good and bad. I saw examples of poor coaching. I saw examples of really good coaching. And that stuck with me in that it helped me develop a desire to do that for other people. So originally, I went to school at Baylor University. I went there to play football, and after the first week, I wrecked my ankle and I turned my back on competitive sports, or so I thought. Right. I went and enjoyed college, and I thought there's a lot more to college life. And in the meantime, I thought I still have this itch for sports. And so even as a college student, I knew I needed to find a way back in, even if I wasn't playing. So I became specifically football was the sport I was most passionate about at the time. We'll get back to basketball because that did come later, but I was a college kid who went to coaching clinics. I didn't have a job. I wasn't coaching. I was just going to school. But that got me in touch with various coaches at the college level. Really, I had no guidance whatsoever. I just did it on my own.
You did this during college, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I had a couple of moments where, again, some speakers and college coaches just left an impression on me. And somewhere along the line, I was smart enough to follow through with that. I wrote letters. This is back, I'm going to date myself here a little bit. This is back in the 80s. And, I was writing letters. We didn't have a lot of email and those kinds of things back then, but I was writing letters, making calls, just kind of following advice of, people that I had heard from and I respected. And
To
I ended
hopefully
up,
join a program. Is that what the
yeah,
hopes were?
at some point I thought, yeah, let me see how I do this. Can I do it? If I didn't,
Right.
if I didn't continue playing, I knew I had the passion for it. And again, I think that's really important. I identified, I wanted to impact people. I wanted to do it at a high level. I wanted to be competitive. But that you can't just say this is what I want to do and it's going to happen. So my humble beginnings as a coach after I graduated from Valparaiso, I took a teaching and coaching job at a small private high school down in Texas. I'll be honest with you, the idea of Texas football, I thought, who knows? And I started coaching high school football. I wrote to several coaches. There was a coach I revered who's at Baylor University. He was so gracious and kind. He would send messages from my team, inspirational, motivational things, and I just kept in touch with him. In the meantime, I also took on coaching girls basketball team. Had no desire to do that, but did a good enough job with the football team that I had parents asking, "Hey, why don't you coach our girls too?" And at the time, I thought, I don't know if I really want to do this, but I did, and we were very successful. We were in this Texas State Championship 2 years in a row, lost both times. But then that opened the door. It kind of gave me the inspiration to follow through with trying to connect with the football coach at Baylor, which I did, and ended up in graduate school in the hopes of chasing a grad position
At Baylor?
At Baylor. He said, I don't have anything, but if you come and get in school, we'll try to find you something. Didn't find me anything, but I did get a grad position with the health and PE department, and I directed intramurals, which at a large university is a pretty big deal.
Right.
But through my contacts with girls basketball, I had met the women's coach at Baylor. Again, this is back in the 80s when women's sports was really just being funded and increased quite a bit. She didn't have an assistant. She had recruited one of my players from the high school, and I remembered her. And again, I don't know where, I didn't have anybody giving me advice or anything. I just walked into her office and said, "Hey, I'm here in school. I thought I was going to be working with the football team. Do you need help with anything?" She put me on the road scouting in the days when we could go and scout people while I was in graduate school, paid for my mileage and a little food here and there. And lo and behold, I did a good enough job with that players were asking, who's the guy doing the scouting reports? And when she had increased funding, she could hire an assistant. I was the first one she asked. And that got me in the door with coaching basketball, specifically at the Division I level.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and it is. And, and I say that, I try to be, somewhat humble about it when people ask, how do you get into that? And there's no, true formula. I've known people that have tried forever and they've done everything that has been advised, working camps and networking and doing everything. It's not just luck. I know that. I think God orders our steps, and he certainly ordered mine, even then when I didn't really know what was going on. When I was a college frat boy, I told everybody I was going to be coaching in the Big Ten someday. Well, I thought it was football, and I was coaching at Baylor and married my wife, and she was from the Midwest. I was from the Midwest. We thought maybe there might be something better back home. And lo and behold, the University of Wisconsin had a position, and I applied for it. I got it, and I was coaching in the Big Ten.
Wow.
So
crazy how life works.
Yeah. And again,
at the same time,
it's
though,
an interesting road.
You put yourself in the position to have those opportunities. Obviously, luck is a little bit of it, but you walking into that office wasn't luck. That was, you putting yourself out there, where a lot of people and a lot of kids don't have the confidence to even go do that.
Right. You're exactly right. And again, I'd love to tell you that I read some, book, which I read a lot of books, but, when I was younger, telling you got to do this and this and this. I didn't have any guidance. I was just kind of going off my gut, my instincts. And I knew if I wanted something, I had to ask, but, the second part of that is once you are given an opportunity, you have to make the most of it. And you have to be responsible and you have to be productive in what you're doing, and people notice that, and other opportunities come from that. And I truly believe, when I was doing those scouting reports, again, I didn't have any guidance at all. I couldn't go on the internet and say, here's how you do a scouting report. I just gave my observations and I organized it well, and I used my teacher training to say, hey, here's how you make this important for those players. And I did the very best job that I could. And, that's a message that I've always believed, is that no matter where you are, you do the very best job that you can, and good things happen. Not always. You can work your tail off at something, and it doesn't always come to fruition like you want it to, but it will pay off at some time. And I think a lot of people want to jump steps and skip steps or have an easy fix. But you just have to do the best job that's available right now, and do it as well as you can.
And I think to add to that too, and not just sports, but if you look at any company, you provided that coach who didn't have an assistant a solution to some of her problems. She probably was looking at this long list of things that she needed to do, and lo and behold, Jon Cain walks in and says, hey, let me be a solution. I think you can apply that to almost any business, any company. Say, hey, I'm doing this, I'm at this level, give me more to do, and I think it's just going to there and finding the solutions and doing it your own way is kind of how you did it. And I think you can apply that to anything.
Yeah, and that, another key word, which is, it's a big part of my life. It didn't come about right away. This is, talking life experience a little bit, is the word humility. Humility is a really important trait, where you never feel like you're too good to do something, or you're above doing something, or that you're above helping other people. It's putting your ego aside. We all have ego. Ego is part of who we are. We all want to do the best, and we want to be the best, and we want to have the best. But sometimes you have to put that aside and put other people first. And when you do that, whether it's for a head coach that you're working for, or whether it's for players or whoever it may be, you got to put them first, and good things will happen when you do that. Now, that's not the reason to do it. It just has to be who you are.
Right.
And that's a real important lesson.
Another question I have, and it's not just a sports related question. It kind of goes back to when you said your dad left you. There's a whole lot of people right now. And divorce is what, 50% in the world right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kids who have a decision to make when that happens. And even the parents have a decision to make when that happens, of either sulking into that or using that as, okay, I'm going to take this opportunity to be motivated and go grind and go do everything. And I don't know what age that was for you, but how can you speak to people who either directly are affected by it, who don't have a mom or don't have a dad, feel resentment versus them, and instead of channeling that anger, finding another opportunity, and not say to prove you right, dad, or prove you right, mom, but just doing it to yourself. It's kind of an interesting question, I guess, but just kind of talk about that.
Yeah, no, thanks for that question. It's something I do think about internally. I probably don't talk about it enough. But again, we all have those storms in life. Divorce has become more common. When my parents got divorced and then my mom got remarried, that was almost unheard of at that time in the 70s and things. And for most of the time, I was not only mad about it, I was embarrassed about it. Wow. And I think one of the things that, we all tend to do is we try to compare our lives to other people's lives. And we say, well, why isn't my family like their family? Or, why don't we have what they have? And that's something you have to put aside.